Hello and welcome to Roleplay Rejects, where we play new and unusual tabletop role-playing games. In Side Quest, we're taking a break from our longer stories to play just a few sessions of some very unique role-playing games out there. So sit back and enjoy. Let me know if this is too much.
And I'm
too far, maybe.
I'm also cutting myself off from others.
So I think as you're like sprinting across, maybe on like one of the last ones, you miscalculate or it was very sensitive.
Yes.
So you couldn't get like a good step off on it. And at that point, probably the both of us have to come in and like rescue you, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Hence the going too far.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
And then we pick you up. What the hell was that, Griswold?
Well, I thought I understood the contraption.
Not
the
everything's
contrivances.
some grand design, you know?
Well,
sometimes it's just a hole in the ground.
Well, this hole had a lid, and I was.
I can't do this, Lloyd. And I'll just kind of like walk ahead, I guess.
All right. And that is the end of the second day.
That is the end of the second day. We've hit all 4 bad consequences.
Yeah.
Hey, look at us go.
Yeah.
Right. First day was all good. Second day was.
You're starting us off with camp.
I wanna, because the day ends with us discovering where the dragon is. So I do want to talk about, like, set that scene. So I guess I can just tie it into camp. But we get past this pitfall room, and then we see in the distance, just like, this is kind of leading into like the dragon horde aspect, but we see like a giant room, and it's like huge, like it goes deeper than we can see immediately, but in the center of it is like what appears to be like just a pool of acid, and it's like immediately like we just see like hordes and heaps of like just gunpowder like in the room, and like we're not 100% sure yet, but I guess like we see it, and it's pretty safe to assume that this is where homeboy be chilling.
Yeah.
As he gives out arms, or plans to give out arms. I will pick. I will ask. I'm thinking. Okay. Once we like sit down and take a breath and like put our packs down or whatever, start like not like a fire, I guess, because we're in a dungeon, we don't give ourselves away, but like,
Yeah, I was actually thinking like maybe this day's camp isn't like, it's more like just a rest.
a short rest.
Yeah.
I think, fuck, I don't know, I guess like Lloyd just kind of turns to face the two of you in general and says, what the hell is wrong with you two? There were two instances now. We could have died because you have anger issues and you think you're smarter than you are. And if we keep fucking around like this, we're gonna die far before we get the chance to meet this dragon.
I don't know who made you the leader.
It's not about being a leader. It's about giving a shit enough to not get other people killed.
Well, I'm glad someone else is seeing his anger issues.
Oh, don't think that you can weasel your way out of this, Griswold. You running ahead?
This is what I'm fucking talking about.
I miscalculated slightly.
We're not gonna get anywhere like this. I'm all for us having our issues, but let's put them aside long enough to finish what we came here to do. Yeah?
Yes. Let's let's get this over with.
I'm like sitting there, kind of like just, clench fist and then let go, and then kind of like clench again and let go. Deep breath. All right. Oh, see what I can do.
Cool.
I almost like I go to kick a rock, and then I'm like, nope. Oh, what question was that?
What the hell is your problem?
Oh, what the hell is your problem?
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's
Yeah.
right there. All right.
That's a great one.
maybe the location that we're actually resting in is actually just back a little ways, kind of towards the pitfall room, but not quite there. There was like a couple little offshoots that lead to just dead ends.
Okay.
And we just are kind of like back in one of those.
Yep. Prepping.
Yeah, dark
and
enough to
everything.
like probably not be seen if someone walks by. Easy enough to defend.
Yeah.
And he's went to almost kick a rock, and calms himself down a little bit. And then he will kind of like turn back and face you, Lloyd. I don't see why you have to be coming at us about our problems. I mean, I saw you in that shroom room. What in the hell are you so afraid of?
That's real shitty of you to ask. It's not a fear of a thing per se, but I mean, you were in the military, you get it, right? I don't know how many people you've killed, but the way you went at that snake, I imagine it's more than a small number. I just don't want to get to the point where it becomes normal for me. I come from a family of mercenaries, and while I do think there are times where violence is necessary, I never want to forget the value of a life. And there was a time where I didn't learn that lesson yet. I'm scared of going back to that.
Well, why do you keep going in this career then if you don't want to be a killer?
It's not that I don't want to be a killer. It's that because the way I see it is because life has value. I want to protect those people that can't protect themselves. And for example, if I see bandits attacking a helpless merchant, and I don't intervene, who knows how many more people those bandits are going to kill, right? I just don't want to become someone who just kills indiscriminately or without some kind of compass to guide them.
That is fair.
Beerus will just kind of like look down, scratch his hand a little bit. You ever wonder if those bandits are just trying to get some food to make ends meet? You ever wonder if just because they're called a bandit, maybe they got a reason?
I think you can't control what people call you, but you can control what you do. And if they choose to harm or kill others in order to get what they want, then I will choose to stand against them.
Kind of like picks his nose, flicks a booger at the wall. Noted.
So I did the how do you keep going?
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that was a good time. I didn't even
Thank you,
realize.
yeah.
That's good.
Holy shit, that was really cool. I didn't. Oh my god.
No, you're good.
You think? And all this talk about like killing and like life and all that trash that we're having right now. Lloyd like kind of leans back against a cavern wall and just crosses his arm in thought and asks. It's kind of hard to tell if he's asking this like to you two or if he's just kind of like thinking out loud. But he goes, "Do you think this will even actually matter? Like, do you think we'll make a difference? Or once we do this, will somebody else just come to take his place and it will be as if we didn't do anything?" I mean, this Dragon TM, sure, he's like the one at large right now, but I'm sure there's a bunch of other people just waiting to take his place in this whole ordeal.
I'm sure there are, but just like you can't idly stand by and see someone else be hurt, this is a similar thing, just on a grander scale, right? We are helping this war effort we're trying to shut down what is enslaving those dwarves that we saw earlier. We are trying to keep people alive. I think that even if we just postpone the inevitable, we're giving those people that much more life.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, we'll postpone it for a little bit, right? Say, I don't know, the ugly fucker's mum comes by and takes its place. We'll deal with it then, but at least it'll buy a couple weeks. Something. Besides, I mean, not a lot of ways to make gold.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And he kind of like stays like in thought, but he like stands a little more sure of himself.
All right. And that
Journaling time.
We're journaling. We're journaling.
Day.
I forgot to write down the snakes thing, so I'm adding that in.
It's important.
I just had a thought.
Yeah.
You know how like
What'd you call me?
like the classic trope for like adventurers is like I'm a normal guy and then I became an adventurer. But then the question always is like, what kind of normal guy were you, and how does that translate into adventuring skills? I just thought of a cool character that was a spear fisher, and so they fight with a spear. And I'm sure that's been done before. That just seems really cool to me.
That would be cool.
And they're really good at like boat hand stuff and fighting with a spear. I think I'm gonna do that one day.
That sounds awesome. I do really like using something other than like the classic swords and axes. Like using all these different kinds of weapons, but not just for like stats or whatever, but if you like really start thinking about these weapons and like how they would work and everything, because I really like the whole idea of like a big old shield, but it's got a little groove cut into it because that's where your spear goes onto, so that then you can stab in front.
Yeah.
Or like a halberd, or just all these other crazy weapons. A flail could be fun.
Yeah, I really want to play more with like, I love hybrid weapons. Not hybrid weapons, but like, I guess magic weapons, but ones that are like you have to build towards something. So I always like, my default is like the blood drinker sword, right? So it's like a sword where every time you successfully injure an opponent, it like stores 1 blood charge. And once you have 3 blood charge, you can cast X spell for free using the blood you stored in your sword. And then you have to go back and get 3 charges again.
That is
Stuff
really
like that, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think weapons are cool, and they should be explored more than just like, this big sword, it hit hard.
Yeah.
Like, that's sick too.
Instead
Don't
of
get me wrong.
Yeah, instead of a D8, this one's a D10.
Yeah.
Like, that is awesome. But
I had a character that was... I had a Magus character.
I love
that was
Magus
just
characters.
getting to the like sentient blade portion, and then he died.
Oh no.
maybe.
Is that Blackblade, the Magus?
Yeah.
Dude, I had Scar was the same kind. Was that the same campaign? It wasn't, right? No, it wasn't. But Scar was the same kind of Magus. That shit's so cool.
Yeah, they're so cool.
That shit's so cool.
The Maguses are really cool, especially because as you move later on, you remove the arcane spell failure chance for armors that you wear, so then you can start like actually
Wearing
loading
heavy
up.
shit. Yeah.
Yup.
And also being able to like cast a touch spell through your sword
That
is
shit's sick.
fucking
It's
wild.
so cool.
Do you still get the sword damage for that?
Yeah.
Or is that's sick.
It's all added together. So shocking grasps through the sword, electric sword, and then just fucking
Next time you
bonk.
do like a short arc in Pathfinder with different characters, I'm gonna make a Magus again. I might just play Scar
all
again.
Maguses.
I love, dude. That's
That
such a
would be
cool
really
class.
Magi? Magi?
Magi?
Magi?
We got to save it for that episode.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
I think that's doable too, honestly. But then they would just be shorter episodes.
Maybe.
Well, I guess it depends. Because if we're 2 hours in at the end of day 2, they might be roughly an hour each, which would probably be fine.
And well, because we're also gonna, I think we will split this. Editor, we're cutting this part out, obviously. I think we will split this because we have the third day and then just talking about the game and going through our journal. I think it's going to take up a bit of time.
That's fair.
You want to read day 3?
You are finally confronting the beast. The dangers you face are the clever tricks of the dragon. Does the dragon pin someone under its claws? Does it hypnotize someone with its eyes? Does it corner the group by a ledge? We are seeing you confront your shortcomings, and we learn how you fare under pressure. The third day ends with the dragon being slain.
Oh, did we want to switch back so that then you do the obstacle, or you narrate the obstacle, I overcome it, and then background like that?
First
or do
order?
we want to?
Yes.
Yeah, whichever way. I don't think.
I'm lost, so just tell me when to roll.
Yeah, we'll do this way for passing the priority, and the person to our right will.
Okay. Yeah.
Roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I am going first twice though.
No
I
worries.
thought Joseph was about to go.
Well, for narrating, but for overcoming, I'm going
Yeah,
twice now.
No worries.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we are looking down on that cavern filled with gunpowder, weapons, and this pool of acid. And as we are surveilling, reconnaissing, or whatever, we see from the other side of the cavern the person we know to be the dragon. He is wearing fine black robes and conversing.
I don't think they like touch the ground though.
Ooh,
kind of
yeah,
like
they-
revealing his like super, like fine leather boots
Okay.
on there
yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Mm.
they look like dragon leather.
Yeah, but we know.
we know.
Mm-hmm.
And he is he's conversing with someone in a language we can't understand, and then he steps down into the pool of acid and just walks down into it.
Oh man.
And his companion looks to be human as far as we can tell, but he is standing guard or standing in wait or something just outside of the pool.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just imagining him like he's stepping in, and then he's gonna do his transformation, and it's just gonna be the big old like,
the
dragon
classic.
arms. Coming out. Okay. So Beerus moves forward. Kind of like putting a hand back to you two, and he pulls out his giant hammer and kind of like stares. We're still a little bit in the shadows, so can't really see. I imagine the acid has like a faint greenish glow or something. Because that just sounds cool.
That's cool as fuck. Yeah.
But seeing this person just kind of standing there, and I think I rush up to this guy, just kind of like charging ahead. But tell me if, because I rolled a bad consequence, so I'm
Okay.
gonna get seriously hurt because of someone else. Is it cool if that someone else is one of you two?
Yes. If you're cool with it, I think we haven't been noticed yet,
Mhm.
right? So I think your approach to, oh my god, this is gonna suck. I feel bad.
No, it's good.
To like just kind of try to take this guy out without us, like without him seeing us at all.
Mhm.
And then as you approach and you start to like brace yourself for the swing, Lloyd yells out, "You can't hit him from behind. That's dishonorable." And then homeboy turns and strikes at you, and that's when you suffer.
I imagine like I managed to like get the swing in, but it's not nearly as effective at
Yeah,
this
'cause-
point. What weapon do we think he's using? Guitars.
Okay, all right.
That works.
Oh yeah, because then he would like probably get hit in the shoulder, but then duck low and just do a quick jab into the gut.
Okay.
And then with a backswing, I go in, I trip, and then I like kick him into the pool of acid.
Nice.
But I'm like bleeding pretty heavily at this point. What the fuck, Lloyd?
That you can't do that. If we're not gonna fight with honor, then we're no better than them. And I start rummaging through like my pack, right, looking for like bandages and something to like staunch the bleeding. Yeah, we're better than that. Everyone started writing. I forgot we did that for a second. I too am beginning to write. Beginning writing protocol.
So the game does mention that you write down when you overcome an obstacle.
Oh.
If we want to add more into it, absolutely.
No, I've been writing a lot because I forgot.
No,
But-
okay.
And then he does start trying to like rudimentary patch you up, probably with Griswold's help, because I just imagine you're better at it. But yeah, and has the audacity, I guess, to start lecturing you about why what you did was fucked, as you are bleeding. Dude, fuck Lloyd, man. Not actually, but like in that situation, I'd be pretty pissed.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So it's me now, right? We're going back to storytelling this way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Womp 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 womp. Damn. Oh no, I was just reading the consequences. One of them's crazy.
There's some crazy ones in here.
Yeah, so I guess at this point, I'm just gonna do the thing. So as Lloyd and Beerus are kind of bickering back and forth about that fucked up exchange we just had and how Beerus got hurt, and as Griswold and Lloyd are trying to patch him up, we are just like we're startled as we see one black claw reach out of the pool and just slam onto the ground around us in the cavern, like ever so like he's like I don't know how big he is. Everything's theater of the mind, so it's all relative. But the cavern shakes a little bit, like clouds of like gunpowder begin to like disturb the air.
Ooh.
Yeah.
As he starts climbing out in dragon form, and
The boss music starts.
Yeah, the boss music starts playing. We see Abadir, Acid Tongue.
Oh yeah, it's like the little character card that's showing
exactly.
up. Yeah.
3 health bars showing up.
Yeah.
And you're like, dang it.
Yeah.
What do you mean this guy has a phase 3? There's only 2 phases.
There was actually a save point right outside and we missed it.
Where's the site of grace when you need it?
Yeah. And and he turns to face us and he braces himself for rolling for initiative. Yeah. He's rolling. He's laughing.
I am laughing. Okay, so he starts swinging at us, and we're hooking and jabbing. Right, Lloyd gets a good cut across one of his hamstrings, and then Barris comes up and just clocks him under the chin with his hammer, and Griswold, feeling a little overconfident, goes to light his grenade.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Sets off the gunpowder in the room.
Oh no.
And there is just a flash as a large portion of the room explodes, and I am never seen again.
No.
Oh no. I thought you were going to overcome your flaw because you weren't overthinking at that point.
Nope.
But fuck, man.
Did you? That is the you die consequence?
You die.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I was like, I don't know what else that would be. Oh no. What a cool scene though in my brain.
Yeah.
That was like the flash, like the circle. Oh my god.
Yeah.
This room is really cool. I'm gonna steal this room one day.
Yeah, I know, right?
This is a cool. This is a cool boss room. I don't know why I grabbed this. Oh, because you're storytelling next, and I will overcome
that's
it.
right. The flash of explosion does still push the dragon off of its center, allowing room for a pretty decent, we'll call it a critical hit. Mayhaps you stagger broke the dragon, and now you can go in for there's a glowing, gold light on him. Yeah.
You get the critical strike. Okay.
It's wild how tense this D6 is.
Yeah.
It's like one roll, and you're like, ah.
And like it starts off like really not that bad. Like one of the bad consequences on the first day is you make a fool of yourself in front of someone.
Yeah, someone chastises you.
Yeah.
And now it's like you die.
You die.
Like we've been playing for not that long. So I think as painting the scene a little bit, so he's knocked over on his side and we see like the growing like critical strike chance. And
Yeah, I imagine like basically his head like smacks the
Yeah.
ground, but like right behind his jaw, you can like get a pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we see like Lloyd starts to like he like kind of falters because like he's kind of teetering on the edge of like this isn't like a fair fight, right? Like that's a little fucked.
Mhm.
But then he like thinks back to the conversation we had outside where we kind of talked about like the good this would do and like the virtue of like defeating one to save the many. And he fucking rips in there and he fucking like cleaves like a chunk of like out of his neck. And he has an injury on his neck. And I'm gonna say turns a flaw into a virtue. And instead of like being scared of becoming someone that kills like just coldly, he after that conversation is more sure of himself and like now deeper understands why he wields a sword. And because of that he wields a sword with more confidence.
I like that. Yeah. Maybe like focusing not on the quote unquote perceived dishonor here, but the honor of saving
of
others.
protecting people that can't protect themselves. Yeah.
I like
And that is you turn a flaw into a virtue. And that,
That's
I guess that virtue would be like the drive to protect others or something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, dude, the scream that this dragon probably lets
Yeah,
out.
that had to hurt.
Yeah. So
Like one health bar is empty.
yeah, dude. And he's reeling back, right? He stands up on his back legs and he kicks a pile of slightly burning gunpowder into your face.
Oof.
Yeah. That's what he does.
Oh, I have to roll it.
Yep. Oh. Yep.
Into my face?
Into Lloyd's face.
Oh, into Lloyd's face still. Okay.
I'm blind. I can
I didn't
see.
really roll it. That one fell out of my hand.
I can fight. He's rolling. He's rolling.
He got a crit.
I mean, technically. So I see this like kick about to happen, and you know, like time slows down. You hear the heartbeat in the background, dum 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 dum, and immediately I'm like clenching my great hammer, and like I'm planning on about to like just rush in and hit this guy because I'm getting like pissed off. But then I look down at his foot and I see that he's like kicking towards Lloyd. And then like the white knuckles that I have holding onto this thing kind of like loosen up as then I rush over to Lloyd and just push him out of the way as I overcome a flaw.
I got lost. Who is storytelling now?
You are.
Okay. He kicked gunpowder in my eye, and then he was about
Towards
to
you,
kick
but
me.
You.
Yeah, I like rushed over and like we both end up basically like falling
dodging.
over and
Okay,
dodge
cool,
out of the
cool.
way.
So we both dodge out of the way.
Oh, you would be rolling, but your character is dead.
Yep.
I think we still run it like that.
Okay,
There's
yeah,
still
let's do
probably
it.
something.
We can find a way.
Yeah.
No. We can. We'll just roll and we'll figure it out. We can see if we want him to die right now in this instance or just at the end of the encounter, whatever works.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we can stop and roll at the very least. So you knock us out of the way. We tumble. And then from like as we're like both like standing up and like getting our bearings back, he lets out a mighty roar that I will not do. And we see welling in his throat that he's about to spew out acid breath at us.
Okay, time for the roll, TM.
I guess.
You're rolling.
Oh, I did it.
No,
How does this? Do we want him to roll?
Silent dice.
was it good
Was it
or
good or bad?
It was good.
Okay. How do we want to do this?
Yeah, that's weird.
Do we want to?
Oh man,
This is hard.
Yeah, I probably
yeah.
shouldn't have
I think
died
I
immediately.
think most people.
I think it's. Unless this is boring for you, I think it makes the most sense if he just isn't there, and if we want him to roll, we can either have it be tied to like a memory of something, or have it be like we can like flashback and be like, he said this thing about dragon breath attacks,
Ooh,
right?
Yeah.
Or we can be like
Ooh, flashback.
something from his pack helps us. Like we can still use the character.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
You make it in spite of your flaw. Just kidding. Yeah, so
Sorry, just one other idea that I had
okay.
was you overcome if you. I know this would be a bit retconny,
Okay.
but you overcome your flaw, but the damage is already done, being that your body is heavily fucking burned.
But that's a bad consequence.
No, he's saying that would
Instead
be the
of
retcon.
the-
Instead of you
Oh.
dying, you would do that one.
Oh no.
Okay,
I got
alright,
this.
yeah.
So, as the dragon is about to spew out its acid, you think back to the night before when we were sitting around the fire, and his long list of ramblings. At one point, he did say that that dragon's glands are always under the throat, near the chin, and so as it reels back to spew this acid, your hit from earlier just perfectly cut one of those glands, one of those tubes, and the dragon spews all of this acid just over the floor in front of itself, burning its own claw a little bit.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which one's that one?
That is discover a virtue you didn't know about. So him being
His knowledge helps. He's a good teacher.
yeah, him being so detail oriented makes him a good teacher.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
From beyond the grave. Can't get him back now.
Yeah.
um.
And then it's me for storytelling at this point. So acid spews down onto the ground, but then he lets out another kind of like triumphant roar, and then he flaps his wings and lifts up very, very quickly and hard, enough to hit his back against the ceiling, which, based from the explosion and from this impact now, suddenly the ceiling stalactites start falling down from the ceiling
To the stalagmites.
to the stalagmites. Yes.
Okay.
Well, the stalagmites are actually going up, while the stalactites are going down.
They're falling up, like they start jutting up from the ground.
I changed my mind. So this dragon's eyes just start kind of like glowing as he does
Okay.
some weird gravity shenanigans. It doesn't affect us, but it affects these stalagmites,
rock.
stalactites,
Yep.
and then they do a little switcheroo.
That's sick. This is so cool. I want to. This is so cool. I'm stealing this for a one
I
shot.
like this
For an
boss room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, this boss room is sick. What a layer. I'm rolling. Oh no. This is hard. Gravity. So, okay, this is a little fucked. So as the room's shaking and all the fight's been happening, these stalactites start to fall, and we're close enough to Griswold's corpse that as the stalactites start falling, Lloyd grabs you and we kind of duck to Griswold's body, and we kind of use it as like we duck, and Lloyd just kind of uses it as like kind of a human shield to like lessen the blows from the falling rocks. And he as he does it so quickly that I think you. This is a really fucked up. I'm choosing you overcome a flaw, but the damage is already done. This is a really fucked up way to overcome a flaw. But he realizes in that moment that him living and slaying this dragon is more important than like disrespecting Griswold's body. But I imagine you watching him do that, especially after talking all that shit before about like that's wrong.
Yeah.
Is like Pog. Like I'm glad we didn't get crushed by rocks, but also what the fuck, dude? That's wild. And that is my bad consequence of you overcome your flaw, but the damage is already done. And the flaw being like having to operate within that moral compass.
Yeah, that's fucking wild. We're on 3 and 3.
We are.
The next thing is the last thing.
As these rocks are falling, the dragon is in its death throes, essentially. It is writhing and it is kicking things up. And then one of these stalactites pins it to the ground, right? It's got one wing up and it is flapping, but it cannot get the other wing off the ground. It is pinned.
Okay.
He's rolling, listeners. He's rolling. He got 7. That's impossible.
I'm thinking. Sorry.
No, you're good.
This might be too much,
Okay.
but I'm going to go for shock value than
Okay.
anything else.
Weird,
So,
he's an acid dragon, but go on.
as I rush up to him, the dragon realizing that he's pinned, he changes form back to his human self. There's all of the damage that he has taken exist on his human form in some form or fashion. But then he like collapses to the ground and starts like coughing. And then I move up to him, and then I put my warhammer with like the hammerhead down onto the ground and like leave it standing as I reach into like my pack and I pull out a firearm and I just go point blank shot. And at that point, Lloyd will hear me say, "May the sky break upon your back." A common saying of the cult.
Oh my god.
And at that point, someone will never speak to you again.
Dude.
Because I rolled a 1.
I imagine if you're cool with this.
Also, by the way, I'm sorry, I love this cult now. I'm going to develop an entire campaign for it.
Yeah, here we go.
I think if it's cool with you, because of that cult thing, because we hit 4 consequences. We're never speaking to each other again. I think it makes sense that we kill the dude. The cavern is still shaking and like begins to collapse. And now you and I have different priorities. You're focused on just getting the fuck out. I'm focused on getting the fuck out with the dwarves, right? So you make that comment and you just start booking it out, like trying to look for an exit, and then anime cutscene. You make it out. I make it out a different way with the dwarves. But I think the camp would be like solo camps where we kind of reflect on these questions.
Yeah.
By ourselves. Okay.
I don't think they all make sense. Well, maybe they do. Some of them do. Yeah, some of these are actually look like they're written to be introspective as well.
Yeah.
So we can just go down the list of questions as we kind of wrap up and go our separate, our characters are going their separate ways, and answer them for our characters out loud.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let's take just a couple minutes here because I need to write down from the consequences.
Okay.
Journal entry number 18. He was a cultist the whole time? That was great. That was so. I didn't see that coming at all. That was so cool. The gun. He was the one who killed the deer. Can you imagine,
Dude.
Maybe that scapegoat thing was actually just true the whole time.
Man, rip my boy Griswold.
It's okay. He went out how he liked to. You know, breaking things down to their basic elements.
Oh my god,
Son of a bitch.
that was good. I was like, I was like lighting grenades, but no, that makes a lot more sense.
Yep.
Man, when we found the dragon's lair at the end of the second day, I really want to be like, yeah, we found a sign in front of this mouth that says dragon's lair.
Yeah.
It says Abadir's home.
Right
His
there.
name was not Abadir. Abadir is the name of an NPC in Baldur's Gate 3.
No, it's Abadir.
His name is. Did I say Abadir the
You
first
said
time?
Abadir.
Abba deer, like the deer that we found.
That was
It's all-
him the
it
whole
all
all
time.
ties together. I'm changing this to 2 E's.
And the bowman was from Atlas country, and the guy with the gun was another cultist.
Dude.
Can't wait till we make this a campaign.
20 episodes.
Also,
at
may
least.
the sky break upon your back. What a hard line, bro.
I was just gonna go with like, and you see a cult
The
tattoo,
tattoo.
but
That shit was sick.
dude, it's the weird sayings that cults have. That, like,
Yeah.
I mean, Scientology, for instance.
Dude,
I mean, just good stuff there.
I read this great book called Cultish, and they talked about how different groups use language to cut themselves off from other people and identify their own. So, like, if you have some dumb military saying, you can say that, and then the person's going to be like, oh, this guy also is in the military. And most jobs have that, if you think about it. Like, you've got a dozen acronyms for your dumb little paperwork, and you're like, oh, well, have you signed the TPS reports yet? And, like, that cuts out the new guys, right? And it makes sure that, like, everyone's talking the same cultish language, right? Really good book.
Yeah, that shit's wild. Because I think I remember that, like, I don't know if it was in that book, but it was talking about two Scientologists. I'm going to focus on Scientology.
Do it.
Two Scientologists were literally just having a conversation about the weather.
Yeah.
But the way that they were speaking, you would have no fucking idea
Yeah.
because of the language that they use.
Wow. I think
I'm ready when you are.
if it's cool with you, we can just describe our characters leaving. I just imagine, like, for Lloyd, he's just kind of going back to the nearest friendly town he knows of, well, probably the one we started from. And it's just him. He's just walking down this, basically like a similar route to the one we took to get here, with these dwarves in tow that are now free. And as he's walking, like, kind of keeping them corralled and making sure they're okay and that the injured are, like, at least somewhat bandaged up. He's reflecting on these questions in his head as they make their way back.
Yeah, and I think Beerus ends up making it. Do you think you went out the main entrance?
I think I probably went out, yeah, like, as close to, like, if I could get back there, like, the closest I could get back there. Pretty much trying to just do the opposite of what we did.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I go out some, like, side entrance or something like that.
The butt of the skeleton.
Yeah.
And one of the dwarves that you're escorting out picks up Griswold's journal and kind of tucks it as he's, looting other things as well. It fills his pockets. It's like, it's got some sciencey stuff, might be worth something. And that's how Griswold
Lives on.
lives on.
His works.
There we
That's
go.
sick. Do you want to just run? No, wait. You're
So
talking.
I make my way out a side entrance, and I start kind of heading towards the way that I've been picturing it. Right, is the kingdom is to the north, and we've been heading south this whole time.
Okay.
Okay.
And then to the east is like more culty kingdom lands,
Called lands.
and that's kind of where I'm heading.
Okay.
And I stop and make camp and kind of like poke at the fires. I look to my side. Really wish I had those sausages. As I poke. And we can go through the questions.
Cool. I think I'm gonna start with what do I regret more than anything? And I think I just feel like if I think Lloyd kind of blames himself for Griswold's death. Like, I feel like if he had a better hand on the situation, or if he was paying more attention, like the classic, like there's really nothing he could have done, but like he just feels like if he was a little sharper, right, or if he like was a better fighter, so like he didn't feel the need to like pull out the grenade, he would still be alive, right? So I think that's what he regrets the most, is that Griswold died and that he wasn't able to prevent it.
And I think Beerus is sitting there just thinking, he's probably just speaking out loud because there's no one around. But I really wish that Lloyd wasn't around when I finished the deed. I think we could have been... Well, he's kind of a prick, but maybe we could have been mates. At least a little bit.
You want to just bottom up?
Sure. And then he's kind of like sitting there again. Just he reaches into his pack and he pulls out just a flask and opens it up. Takes a swig. In this kind of an area, it's a little bit more scarred, like the entrance of the cave was, and a little bit more marshy.
Okay.
He's just kind of like up on one of the drier parts. But he just kind of like sits there. Another swig. Well, I really didn't expect all of this. I figured that one of them would have gotten the last kill and we could have still gone on, but it is what it is, I suppose. The cult had bad dealings with them. Thought that they weren't getting their money's worth.
I think
Things gotta get done.
for Lloyd, it kind of feels a little monkey's paw-esque, because I think he spent most of his adult years traveling alone. And so when he heard about this dragon, and he was like, oh, I can go prove, like, to myself that I am a good swordsman. And I think he's struggling with the balance of feeling like he's done that, right? Like, I feel like through fighting the dragon and understanding himself as we traveled, he is a now more sure and a better swordsman for it. But I also think that he expected that if anyone wasn't going to survive, it would be him. And so now he's like, he has this new weight on his shoulder of just like, he just wasn't ready to lose one of you guys. And so Griswold's dead and Beerus is a cultist. And that's just kind of like, he's really, really coming to terms with that. The world is so much more than what he can balance on his sword.
Do you want to take the next one?
Yeah. Griswold's dead. I don't think he's doing shit. But I do think, I don't know if I saw him, the dwarf, take that book. But I do think Griswold was hired by Atlas TM. So I imagine his works will live on somewhere, journal or not, right? I think his studies will be spread. I do wonder about Beerus. I think with the nature of the current affairs and the fact that he was here to do this now, I don't know what he's gonna go on to do, right? Like, I don't know how, like, what like where he is on the status quo of the cult. Yeah, I think I think Lloyd wasn't super into that aspect of the world, so he kind of just has no idea what Beerus would do. But I think Lloyd is going to start paying more attention to cult activity and just like where they kind of cross into our kingdom, be like try harder to protect people in those areas. Keeping an eye out for Beerus, just in case he ever sees him again.
Yeah, and Beerus still sitting there. At this point, his flask is empty. As he's pulling out his bedroll, he's just thinking about Lloyd and what Lloyd's gonna go and do. Wonder if I'll end up seeing him again. Imagine when I get back home, they're gonna. Oh no, let me travel these lands again. Can't really be uh, undercover with my identity known. But it's only Lloyd. Maybe I can come back. I kind of liked it here. Better food, at least. And I think that actually ties into. He'll expand a little bit further on. Wonder if I can explain things to Lloyd a little bit better. I mean, not really here to murder innocents or whatever. Just, maybe the king, I guess. But kings die all the time.
Yeah, and
I don't miss the lecturing though. I really don't.
I think Lloyd is having kind of similar thoughts. I think he felt like he was starting to develop a sense of camaraderie despite the constant bickering that they had. The camaraderie of Beerus had obviously seen combat. He knew what it was like to fight for his life, right? And I think he feels like there was a lot of things they could have related to, and so I think he wants to see Beerus again more so to understand why choose that side, right? Like someone like you who is capable of traversing in conflict. Why would you choose to be on that side of it? I think he would want to see him again just to understand that aspect.
And with that, the night falls upon these two characters. Well,
And one charred
and
corpse.
one charred corpse. And that's the game.
All right.
So,
That was
what's the time?
11:24 p.m.
Well, no, recording time.
1 hour 41 or 2 hours 41 minutes.
We crushed it.
we did really well.
Because it says about 5 hours.
Yeah.
And we're just too good. Although I do kind of worry that maybe we should have expanded on some parts.
I think
Maybe,
if we had more people too, I think if it was the full 5 of us doing this, it would have taken longer.
It's hard too because it's not very clear how much roleplay we should be doing.
Yeah.
And so we could make it take all day.
And
Yeah,
how
right.
thick the journal needs to be.
Yeah.
Right? I wrote one sentence each time.
Yeah,
You
same.
wrote a little bit more. You wrote quite a bit more than I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just
Maybe
jotting down ideas. I started writing on the front, so this isn't all I wrote, I swear. But yeah, I was just writing a sentence or two each time.
But I'm just glad that we actually came under the time that they
me too.
said it would probably
Yeah, that's kind of weird for us.
I don't think this
It's a
will
little-
ever
little
happen
funky.
again.
No, it's not. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, go us.
Yeah.
We slayed our own dragon of time.
I think what we could do then is just read through our journal,
Okay.
and then we can talk about the game.
Okay.
Cool.
So
I want to start because I
Okay.
feel like my journal isn't very strong.
Mine isn't either.
Also,
Damien's going last.
day
Okay.
1 and 3 are from my dome because I didn't start writing until day 2.
and
well-
day 3 was kind of intense.
So I do have one entry from day 1, and it's that Beerus has anger issues. And then day 2 starts, and I wish I wrote them down because I don't remember day 1. I remember the conflict with the deer,
Mhm.
and I remember thinking how cool I was because I won that rabbit competition, and how I was glad that we were able to resolve that without.
There was a whole bandit thing.
Yeah, there was a whole bandit thing, and I was glad that I was able to protect those people. And we had a map the whole time.
Yeah.
Day 2, though, we were stuck in a muddy room. And I figured out how to traverse it easier, and I felt really good to be able to help my friends in that way. Is entry 1. Entry 2. I didn't know we were supposed to write our own over whatever, so I just wrote every time something happened. And this one is about us. We abandoned dwarves we found in captivity. We will, underline, go back for them. Entry number 3. Beers gets really fucking mad when he doesn't understand things, because this is when he was using big words.
Yeah.
And I was like, what triggers this? Does he feel dumb? And then my last entry for day 2 is, oh yeah, we discovered a room with mushrooms that made us see visions. I saw the first man I killed, and I hate reliving that memory. Oh, I lied. There was one more entry on day 2. Long talks by the fire. Tenses are high, but I think these two have good intentions. That was after the campfire on day 2, and then with day 3, holy shit, man! Like, I think I would just. A lot of it is just like, I don't know. This is kind of hard. I feel like this kind of like fits the questions we just answered. But I think the entries for that would have just been like learning, like, because that campfire the night before was about like why we're here, what we're dealing with, and it was kind of heavy, that talk. I think like the trope of like you are reflected in your swordsmanship. So like after he was forced to like deal with those hard questions, he was forced to answer them, and then because he like dealt with parts of himself that he didn't deal with before, he started to notice that like he doesn't necessarily cut with more precision, but he cuts with more sureness of self, and that helps him fight better. And so I think all of his entries from that day would have been about that, except for the obvious start and end, where it's like, if only I could have saved, if I could have done something different, maybe Griswold would still be here. And like a lot of anger at Beerus for being on that side of things.
So, my journal's really small. So first of all, I always put the other characters' names up at the top of my character sheet because I forget names.
Oh,
Same.
yeah. No, I mean, I have yours at the bottom.
Party
I
1.
write little arrows like he sits there, he sits there.
That's smart.
I mean, that's what I do with the little name
With
tokens
the
up there.
tags. So, with Griswold being such a control freak and like cutting himself off from others, his journal's more about everyone else because he's trying not to confront like his own problems. So his first entry is, Barris is a hothead, but he seems like he's on a path to redemption. Lloyd is young and eager to fix the world. On the second day, I don't trust the dwarves we've passed. We might have already been found out. Lloyd is even more idealistic than I thought. It's good having his positivity around the camp, though. And Barris was very useful in a fight. Got a little carried away. And then on the third day, I wrote boom.
Nice. Nice.
Yep.
Good. So, I mean, I strayed a little bit from my, original concept that we already talked about.
It's fine, yeah.
But that is kind of the way that I just run characters, whether it's NPCs or not.
Yeah.
Just like as the story progresses, I will just kind of like minor adjust
Characters,
things.
I think, are dynamic. So it's like sometimes you just think of something cooler and you need to work it in,
Yeah.
Or something not even necessarily cooler, but just something you like.
Yeah.
Just throw it
They're
in.
fluid.
Which I still think Exile still works for this, and I'll explain why at the end here. So, I am Beerus, the Exile. I am known for an attempted assassination of the prince. I'm getting rid of the whole, even though it was the cold stone, because that's me. I am known for bouts of anger. I am unlikable at times because of it, and get easily aggravated when I don't understand things.
Oh, I was right.
When I was younger, by the way, in real life. Now, even still now, a little bit, I get kind of like irritated when I don't like get things.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a lot better.
Good.
I managed, next entry, I managed to put some of my old scouting skills to use navigating around acid pits. Next entry, I got angry again. A misunderstanding, but Griswold almost said I wasn't up to the task. This is probably why I was picked, why I was exiled.
Damn.
Next entry. I think my anger is because I don't like failure or needing to ask for help. But what do I do with that thought? Next entry. I got mad at Griswold for using complicated words, ended up bashing 2 snakes, and told them something about being unlikable. That was a mistake. Next entry. At camp, Lloyd called me out for being angry, and you know what? He is right. I am angry. A lot. But maybe I don't have to be such a prick. Next entry. Lloyd told me that attacking from behind is not honorable. But why did he shout it? Ruined my swing and got a guitar in my gut. Then he lectures me about it. What a dickhead. Next entry. I managed to save Lloyd from flaming debris despite what he's said about me. And the last entry I have in here, I executed the filthy dragon, but I think Lloyd heard me say the cult's prayer.
Oof.
I think he was exiled, but he was exiled from the cult for failing the assassination.
Okay.
So he's getting redemption from that.
Okay.
That's cool.
All right. Okay.
I really like the characters that Lloyd and Beerus have grown into. I want them to bump into each other again so bad. I don't know if they would be like reoccurring rivals or enemies or whatever, but like I think that'd be cool.
I imagine it's just the thing of like we get to the battlefield and like we're fighting each other, but then at the end of the day we're like, see you tomorrow. Yeah,
Yep. Kind of Team Rocket-esque, where you're like,
a little bit.
I'm back again.
Either that, I almost imagine like Kobe
Oh yeah.
Kobe and Luffy.
Oh, I can't wait for him to come back.
Now, for those of you that don't know, Kobe is a member of the Navy.
Yeah.
In One Piece, and Luffy's a pirate. So they're like Kobe's in like episode 1, and they become fast friends. But after that, he joins the Navy, so he can't be friends with Luffy like at all, like not like actually, right? But they're fond of each other. So every time they bump into each other, they have like a mutual respect for each other. And when they do it, and there's not that many people around, they do kind of just hang out as friends.
Yeah.
But whenever they meet on the battlefield, they understand that they are meeting as enemies, and so it's a cool dynamic that they have.
It
That
is.
is really cool.
It's sick every time Kobe pulls up.
Yeah. Okay.
This game was fucking sick. It was a lot.
I like this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little skeptical just because I was like, I just didn't know, and I was like, oh, like in our work TTRPG, how fun could it be?
Yeah.
This shit was sick,
It was
and
good,
and
yeah.
like the consequences are like, and the camp questions are really really dialogue inducing. I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially the camp questions. I feel like they're really well worded / written.
And I really liked the escalation. We talked about it a little bit, but like the first day, the consequences are kind of like small fry, and then they get bigger and bigger, and then you die. Is just that's the whole consequence right there.
Yeah.
So.
That fucking wild. Just I mean, you went out with a bang.
I sure did. Yeah.
Yeah. So reading through this, I do really like actually playing it versus reading through it. When I first read through it, I was like, I don't know how much I'm going to be into this because a lot of improv. We're fucking fantastic at it.
We're okay.
We have a good time.
But I didn't know exactly the whole journaling mechanism. I was like, I'm probably not going to write anything down. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I actually really fucking liked it.
I thought it was sick.
Was-
I would like play this again and like buy a journal and decorate it and have like a character journal. I think it was a really cool aspect.
It'd be cool if they had like a expansion on this. Then it's like day 7, 8, 9, 10.
Ooh, yeah.
Like really start getting in the weeds of things. I think the pacing on this was really good too.
I think it's fantastic.
I agree.
I think the pace is perfect.
Yeah, this.
I think it's a solid. You can get your buddies after work and you can knock it out.
Yeah,
like,
this is a really good one shot. I did like the like all of the questions on here, like we already said for the campfire ones, but the consequences too. They scaled up nicely, but it also makes you think because you have to like try and work in
Yeah.
why on the 3rd day someone will never speak to you again.
Yeah.
And
It's tough.
while fighting a dragon. So like
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you went for a groin shot and someone was like,
That's
come
fucked.
on, man.
I'm never talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said what about his mom? That's
Um,
low.
Something to that extent.
Yeah.
Like it makes you think.
Yeah, and I do think to that point you can get creative with it because it describes like we went for the whole we're confronting the dragon. This is an active battle, but like there's an alternate universe where we play this game and the dragon is just managing everything from behind the scenes, and we get to his lair and he's old and decrepit, incapable of fighting. So we get through all these traps that he has for us, even in his lair, and through those traps, maybe like we're pitted against one another. Maybe like we have disagreements about how to proceed, and that could lead to stuff like that. And the actual slaying the dragon could just be finally getting to the end of this labyrinth and just killing him. Like he's incapable of fighting back, right?
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
That would be crazy. I'm tapping myself like that was sick.
That's good.
But I think that's one of the cool things about this game. I also think it's one of the hard things about this game is like it really is just improv.
Yeah, it is
like
very improv.
It's
heavy.
like inner work improv, which is sick. I would warn, like, if you need time to think, just give yourself a second to think. Like it's you and your boys, like your boys gender neutral with an IZ.
Yeah.
They have plenty of time, right? Like if someone's like at the beginning, like I think pretty much every time you're like, fuck, man, like taking a second to think. I think it was
but
better
that's also
for it.
why I do like in here that they mention add details. Any player can just add details, and I think that that's nothing but helpful. And also, just make sure that you're like comfortable with people, because you are supposed to like
have conflict
and overcoming shortcomings and things like that, and that can get a little bit heavy.
But this is one I wouldn't play with like
strangers.
A brand new group.
I agree.
I think you definitely need to know the people. I think you definitely need to be prepared to improv hard. Because like we slowed down a good bit in between. And if you're not comfortable with that silence, it could be tougher to play this one. But
so I do not think that this is for first time
definitely not
players at all.
No, I think you should have.
The only time I would say,
if you're an improv troupe.
Exactly. If you're an improv troupe, if you're a bunch of theater kids that are down to craft stories and you don't like rolling dice, hey, this only takes 1d6. You could flip a coin, essentially, and get the 50-50 from that. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's for beginners.
I will say, too, and this is probably pretty obvious if you've listened to this point, this is not a combat-heavy game. You can obviously role-play fights, but if you're like someone who needs crunchy numbers, that is non-existent here. But that being said, you can still do cool storytelling fights, right? So I do want to make that clear. Like you can have conflict and you can have like altercations.
We had a pretty good one. Like that was a fun fight.
That was sick. And I really like this game does a good job of failing forward. Like even with because they impose that you will always succeed. They give you good bad consequences, right? So like sometimes even though you did the thing, you don't feel like you won, right? Like you don't feel like you won that encounter or that small instance of whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's sick. I think a lot of the times when it comes to failing something, it's either like hard stop, you failed, or like we have some drastic consequence. And like don't get me wrong, some of these consequences are pretty bad, but like I think this is a good showing that like you can have the players like succeed in the thing and give them like a real world or real relationship based consequence of that action. And have it be heavy, right? Like some of these are wild. Even just like the small talks around the campfire, sometimes you're like, oh, this is kind of tense. Like campfire. Oh my god, bro. Tense like camping. Tense. But
like just you coming out with the whole what the hell is your problem,
dude. I read that and I was like, I hesitate because I was like, who am I gonna say this to? And I was like, you know what, fuck them both, bro.
Get them.
So if you're an improv troupe, so hey, all of our improv listeners, this one's a really good one. Again, it is Slaying Dragons by Black Fisk Publishing. One thing that I do want to point out, and this is going to kind of lead into my thing to steal from this, world building.
I like building was super fun.
I really like these kinds of questions because they get right to the point while still being open-ended enough that you can expand on it to your entire will. And honestly, we were fucking popping off. And if I ever design a game, I'm going to have a Cult of the Broken Sky, because that's
sick.
Sweet.
And the fucking arms dealer dragon, like,
dude.
And the questions are so good. Like I genuinely feel like we could have sat here for an hour or two and just built a world, right? Or at least a region. right? Like it was
Yeah.
so because it was like fun. It was like a fun, enticing part of the game to be like, okay, like how are the people, right?
Yeah.
Like who's
How are they doing?
Yeah, like what's up with the Lord? What is the Lord? Whatever. What's
Yeah,
the
because
dragon
like
doing?
you can very easily, like I was about to do, just stop with like how fare the people of the land, and I was just gonna say paranoid and call it good and move on. But like you really can like delve further into this of
Yep.
like a day in the life almost of
Mm-hmm.
that, or like what has the dragon done that's evil? Like I think you can really start.
Made the tax
Thinking
system
it
really
out.
hard. So instead of just paying your taxes every year, you have to like go through some whole ragtag, fucking dumb, convoluted paper trail and pray to God that your number's not wrong so you don't go to jail.
Yeah, repealed citizen protections
Mhm.
Wild.
from
That's
whatever
what he did.
kingdom.
Yeah, I'm like if I ever like homebrew a world, I'm gonna come back to these questions and use them as like a launching point.
Yeah, they're
really
great starter questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all in all, really good game. Not for beginners unless you're an improv troupe.
I do want to add really quick. I like how too I like how they add to character flaws. What problem does it give you? Because I feel like a lot of times you're like, I have this flaw. I think it's very easy to pick
And
a
it's
flaw.
never gonna come up again.
Yes, I
Yep.
think being able to like write down and know in your brain like I have this problem because of my flaw makes it a lot easier to role play your flaws, right? Like it's one thing to say I like to take the moral high ground. It's another thing to be like, and that causes me to do things that other normal people wouldn't get into fights about, right?
Yeah. And so lesser system Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, they have that spot available for like your bond and like your character flaw and all of that stuff, but it gets ignored because none of the other mechanics of the game bring it up.
Yep.
This game, however,
It's all about
it's all about your flaw.
Yeah.
It is 100% about your flaw. Because even in the first one, the first day, there's only one bad consequence that involves your flaw. But then after that, almost everything starts to become about your flaw. You hurt someone because of your flaw. You discover another flaw of yours. You realize the source of your flaw, like all of that kinds of shit. So having it come back in really does drive home that you need to like think about this. And I think if, I don't know, someone were to play this game and then go back to Lesser System 5th edition, they might actually take a little bit more of a look at their flaw
I agree.
and
I think
maybe incorporate it a little bit.
I think
Yeah.
we've started doing this for games we've played recently about like kind of talking about like good things that we can take as players and how it's better us as a player from having played this game. And I think that is what it is for me. Is like being more willing to play character flaws because I think sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to like. There's that. It's classic, right? Like everyone loves conflict, no one loves playing conflict, and you don't want to go too far with your other players.
Yeah.
I think this was like a really good, and obviously know your table, know who you're playing with. If you're gonna do stuff like this, like if you're gonna make someone uncomfortable, don't do it. But this was like, we got heated sometimes. Like we in character were like arguing. Like we don't normally do that to that extent, right?
Yeah.
Like what the hell's your problem? I don't do that, right? It was fun to get to do that. It was also fun to see like how doable that is. How you can have like an escalation and then have a resolution, right?
Yeah.
And continue to just go on as a party. After that, because I think in a lot of games you're either super friendly or you want to kill each other, and that second one isn't super conducive to continuing to travel together.
Yeah, it's like trying to play an evil character in an adventuring party. You're the only evil character.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to do super great unless you can like
Find some reason to stay cohesive. And I think this game is good at that, about being like having these campfire talks where you're like getting into arguments, talking about your flaws, but like ultimately you still have the shared goal. And because like it's a game about kind of being vulnerable, the conversations naturally go towards de-escalation.
Speaking of which, actually, I think you can easily take the camp questions. You don't have to go through like all 4 or 5 of them every single time that you make camp with your players, but try and pose one of these questions as a player the next time that you're out adventuring in whatever system and you sit down for camp, rather than just being like, and you wake up. Like try asking one of these
like,
and get a little
what
bit more.
do you miss from back home?
I think
That is deep.
Yeah.
I think campfire questions should happen in more games in general. Like I forget what the game was called, but I went to Gen Con one year and I was trying out some game, like they were like TTRPG, like the TTRPG hall. where you can try out a lot of creators were like playtesting their games there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one, and it was like a mechanic. It was like, I think it was after combat a lot of the times, or maybe it was during travel, but it was called Shoot the Shit. And it was literally just you conversing.
Yeah.
Converse, today's sponsor, with the other characters. And it was like a mechanic to encourage players to do that. And obviously some characters care more or less about roleplay than others, but I think anytime, because I just feel like if I was an adventurer, I would start yapping as soon as the campfire was lit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'd be like, marshmallows? And I'd just start running my mouth, right? Like, I think that stuff's cool.
Yeah, even if it's about like nonsense.
Yeah,
like,
and
maybe
it can help
could just
you-
be like, I don't know, bantering at a table among friends or something
Yeah.
like that at the beginning of every single podcast. So that then
something like that.
yeah, something, just as an example.
And it's like, it helps too, because like often players don't tell other players their backstories.
Yes.
So just having bullshit like, yeah, what do you miss from back home? What's your favorite food? Like you have any like dumb adventuring stories you want to share? Is a good way to get in game, in character, to start taking steps into learning about their backstory so that you can have it come up, right? Or so that the party can be in the know. So like, yeah, I love campfire banter in TTRPGs.
Yeah.
This game's sick. I like this game a
This
lot.
game
Yeah.
is really cool.
Good little game.
One other point, sorry, I know we keep
No,
on
go for
adding
it.
more points, but I don't necessarily think that this game has high replayability. I think once
I
you go
agree.
through it once, maybe twice, it's hard to come back to it because the questions aren't changing, the consequences aren't changing. If you start adding in your own, I mean, infinite, but
I don't know. I pretty strongly disagree. I think if we went through this game again with 3 different characters telling a different story, like starting in a different spot, I think it would be, even though these questions are the same, I think it would be a vastly different story. Because we could do the old man dragon thing, right? We could do like you're a dad who has a teenage son, and you used to be a mafia boss, but now you're trying to live a better example for your kid to show him he doesn't have to turn to a life of crime, right? I am a failed baker, and I heard that dragon's blood can bless any kitchen to make it the most wonderful bakery in the world. And you're a lawyer, and this dragon is trying to like swindle his way out of a contract, so you're there to de-swindle him. I think that would be very different than what we just did.
here's your Michelin star, the way you be cooking.
But
that is actually a really, really good point. I guess it
I do
really
think-
just, you have to flex your
Yeah.
creative
Yep.
creativity with it.
I also think because the big point is the flaws, I think as long as you're picking different flaws, I think you'll have a pretty different time each time. I do think you would probably want to at some point start adding different consequences if you feel comfortable doing that, just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely doable, right? But I think if we play this again, it would still be really fun. I think it would still be really different, personally.
All right, fair
All
enough.
right.
Anyways,
But what doesn't change is you all smell really bad,
there you go.
listeners.
It's eternal.
Mhm.
All right. Discord,
Discord,
Instagram,
Yep.
Patreon if you
OnlyFans,
feel like it.
YouTube now.
YouTube now.
Give us them views, please.
Please
Please.
watch our videos.
Yeah. Deuces.
All right.
Have a good night.
Later.
It's like 2 a.m. Imagine I said have a good night. Listeners like, what? That was fun. That was really fun.
Yeah.
I like that
That's
game.
a good little game.